Hey guys, this is Tom. It's Wednesday, June the 12th. We've been on the road with 6 biking days. We've had two layover days. What I'm going to do this will be update number 2. I want to give you a bit of an overview of the overall route. Hopefully this is going to turn out because I've got a small map. But I'll give you some of the high points. If you're interested, you can try to figure it out on Google Maps if you want. I'm gonna show you, just give you a real brief glimpse of the maps that we're using, the adventure cycling maps. I'm also using Google. I'm using Allstays. I'm using any source that I can to find places to stay. I can tell you I've been pleasantly surprised. We're gonna make it all the way. It looks like all the way through Montana with RV stops, reservations, all the way to the border of North Dakota. So to begin with, let's do this route overview, and then I'll show you the maps, and then I'm going to go into our progress, where we are, and how far we've gone, and kind of what we see coming here in the next weeks. And this is probably going to be a couple of months more before we get to the coast, and maybe a couple of stories. So all right, let me pick this up real quick here, and I'm gonna just briefly, I'm gonna go down here to this map, and I hope you can see this, but it's important for you to know we started 18 months ago in Florence, Oregon, and we worked our way through Eugene and Sisters. There were 4 of us. A couple of folks dropped out there at the border, and then 2 of us, BJ and I, made it into Missoula. So that was 18 months ago. And what we're doing is continuing this trek this year, Gay and I, and we're following essentially what's called the Lewis and Clark Trail, and we're on the northern part of that trail. They split up. There's a lot of history here, and I won't bother you with all that history, but we're on the northern part of the Lewis and Clark Trail, and we're in this area right now, headed toward Glendive. So that's our first major. We're going to lay over a couple of days when we get there. So that's where we're headed here in the near term, and then we're going to follow this northern tier route, and we're going to work our way up over the top of this lake, and I don't have the name of the lake, but the second lake in the Great Lakes, down to Traverse City, and then over and back over to Buffalo, and then on up to Bar Harbor. That's our plan. Bar Harbor is the ultimate plan. I may chicken out and just try to find a place I can dip my wheel somewhere over here, and maybe Portland or somewhere else, or Boston. But for now, we're just taking it a step at a time. Glendive is our immediate goal. So here's, and then also this is a little more, a little closer view. These are the maps that we're using. A lot of these field notes. Venture Cycling does a great job. You get a lot of history. You can see from Great Falls, on over Lewiston, Winnett, and so on, all the way into Dickinson, North Dakota. So we're following this with a lot of detail. I'm not going to bore you with all that stuff, but that's the kind of info, along with the internet, that we're using. So okay. So where are we and what's going on? We've had 6 bike days. I get up in the morning and cook breakfast and feed Gay, and then get the bike ready, and then I go, and then she gets the trailer all ready. It's already hooked up, but then she gets in it and disconnects everything, and then after a few hours heads toward me, and I let her know whether or not I need support. And if I need support, then then I'm going to tap the top of my head. If not, I give her a thumbs up, and she keeps going, and then I meet her at the next stop. So far, a few of you have indicated an interest in knowing where we have gone. We started in Salmon Lake. I rode back to Missoula so we could connect with where we were 18 months ago, and then she drove me back to Salmon Lake, and then the next day we took off to Lincoln, Montana, Augusta, Montana, Great Falls, Montana, Stanford, and then we're now in Lewiston. We are headed to, in this interim goal, Winnett, Jordan Circle, and Glendive. So we've got 4 days. We leave tomorrow for Winnett. Okay. And I think I mentioned earlier, we got 2 to 3 days. We intend to lay over in Glendive and see a few things there before we go into North Dakota, and then I'll figure out what we're going to do in North Dakota next. The RV parks, amazingly, we're finding them. I was real worried about that, and I can tell you this country is not anything like what I thought it was going to be. It is beautiful out here. It is so beautiful in eastern Montana. The climbs are considerably tougher than I thought they would be. They're starting to level out, but boy, we had some hellacious climbs. A few good downhills, but it seems like I've been climbing, and we've had a lot of tailwind. Today I had a headwind, so that's part of what it's all about. So some highlights in Missoula. Of course, adventure cycling's in Missoula. Max helped me out greatly with adventure cycling with these maps. Hats off to Max and the whole crew there. They're great. They give you a tour if you go in there. They're just great. We stopped there 18 months ago and got the tours. I didn't do the full tour this time. So our first stop out of Salmon Lake was in Lincoln, Montana. And you may not know this. I didn't know it, but there's a famous person that lived in Lincoln, and he was the Unabomber. The Unabomber had a cabin up in the hills, and the feds came in and swarmed that place a number of years ago. And now his house is in a museum in Washington. I don't know which one it is, but for a while there, Lincoln was on the map. There's a lot of great people in Montana. I mean, most everybody we've met. I mean, everybody's been great. If you like isolation, though, Montana's a good place to go. And he evidently was way back out in the woods, and so Lincoln's known for that. We had a great camp there, great campsite, great fishing around. I didn't fish, but great fishing around there. And then the next day out was Rogers Pass. I'll never forget Rogers Pass. We had a front going through. It was cold that morning. It was 36 degrees when I took off. Weather deteriorated. By the time I got to the climb going up into the pass, which is about a 7-mile or so climb, it started to rain, and then it started to sleet. Temperature was up in the low 40s. It started to sleet, and the wind was blowing. It was just miserable. But I was committed. Gay was behind me, and so I went on over the pass. That part of the road, I'll tell you, I don't ever want to go over it again. It was narrow shoulders. I didn't like it. But it finally widened out later, and I can see where adventure cycling, it's one of the reasons I like their maps. They vector you off those busy, more dangerous roads where they can. It's not a perfect solution, but it works. I can see the method to their madness. So then after that, we ended up going on into to Augusta. But that was one of the stories that was a memorable day, because by the time we made it I made it to the Augusta turn, I had a rainstorm that was getting ready to cook. I mean, it was going to be bad. Sleet was coming down, and it was heading into me, getting dark. And here comes Gay. She passed me, and I gave her the I need your help, and she pulled over a little ways up, and I got in out of it, and then it just let loose. So that was a little bit of excitement, not necessarily excitement we always want to see. So from that point, Rogers Pass has been a highlight. I was a bit worried about bear throughout this whole trip. I've been worried about bear. I haven't seen a bear. I've seen elk. We've seen elk, and we've seen eagles, and we've seen porcupines, and deer, and so on. But no bear, thank goodness. And then Great Falls. Great Falls. Any of you have ever read Undaunted Courage? I've read that book here this last winter in preparation for this trip. Lewis and Clark had to portage the Missouri because of 5 unexpected major falls. There's no way they were going against the stream, and they had to get out of the water, and they had to portage up, and it took them, instead of taking a few days, it took them almost a month. So we went through the interpretive center there in Great Falls. That, by the way, is where Malmstrom Air Force Base is. We got to see that. I got my hair cut there. Bob Potter, I got my hair cut, and my beard trimmed. And so that was really interesting. Got a lot of pictures. And then from there, we were in Stanford last night, and Stanford had a youth rodeo. We didn't know that was going to happen, but the people running the park were supporting that rodeo. So we went in there and got to see the 5-year-olds up to the 12-year-olds do their barrel racing, and it was all horse related events. So we've been doing things like that. I'll tell you, I've been pleasantly surprised with this country. I had it in my mind that as soon as we came over that pass, it was going to flatten out and be like desert. It's not. It is beautiful green. It's still springtime here. It's pretty, rolling hills. You can imagine the buffalo. There's none. They've all, they're no longer around. But a lot of cattle, and it's just, cool in the morning. Temperature's starting to come up now that we're out on the plains, and we've just really enjoyed this. So 6 bike days. We've stayed in Salmon Lake and Lincoln and Augusta and Great Falls. I think I already went through that in Stanford and Lewiston. Tomorrow we head to Winnett, then Jordan, and then Circle, and then on into Glendive. I think that's about it. I will mention if you're interested really in knowing more about this, I would recommend that you go ahead and subscribe. This thing isn't going to go viral, but I subscribe, and I'm going to be probably putting a few of these videos up when I'm out on the roads, so you can see some of the scenery, and I'll do that when I have good cell service, and you'll get to see some of the stuff that I'm seeing. But I'm not going to go through all this sending emails out anymore, so I'm going to do a pretty extensive email this time. But then after that, if you're not signed up, then you can ask me about it when I get back. It's too much, and I've got I'm tired every day and so on. So feel free to email me at ultramiler@gmail.com. I'll do my best to get things to you. Gay is uploading to Facebook virtually daily. She's taking pictures as well, and if you will simply let me know, we need. It's a special page that she's created. We'll do our best to get you on there. Now, this is for the people we know. If this happens to get outside our circles, I'm going to probably be a little bit hesitant, but we'll do what we can to keep everybody informed. It's been a great tour so far, and I'll tell you, we're looking forward to getting across North Dakota, getting on into Minnesota, and then over into Wisconsin, and learning some of that geography and learning about the people. I'll tell you one little story. I stopped at a rest stop, and this lady got out of her truck. She's probably in her 70s, and she lit up a cigarette and walked over, and she turned around, looked at me, and she said, "Where are you from?" And I said, "Well, I'm from Texas. Did you ride that bike all the way up here?" And I said, "Well, no, ma'am." And then I told her the story that I just told you all about starting on the western coast and coming across, and everything I just told you, and so we got into this discussion, and I said, "Well, where are you from?" She said, "Well, I'm from Minnesota, and I'll never go back to Minnesota. I just love Montana." And you know why I love Montana? Because of the people. They're so friendly here. We came up here in '68, and she said 1968. My husband and I came up here, and we went to a ranch and just asked the guy if we could hunt. And he said, "Sure, you can hunt on my ranch." And we went out there and we hunted, and he invited us up for dinner. And she said, "I went back and I told the Lord that I was going to sell my ranch, and He's got a month to help me sell it. In 2 weeks it was sold, and we came back." So we get stories like that. Many of you that know about our travels know that we have those kind of stories, and that's what makes us really worthwhile. So I hope you enjoyed this. I've gone through it pretty quick. I didn't want to bore you. It's been 14 minutes. It's about twice as long as I wanted to. or I did last time. I want to keep it under 15, and we're approaching 15 now. So so I hope you're able to stay up with us. I will be doing more, but I'm not going to send extensive emails out anymore. Okay, sign up, subscribe, and keep up with what we're doing if you would like. So y'all have a good one. We hope to see you back in a few months, and we're going to hopefully document this. Maybe have a big party at the house. Talk to you later.